Hey guys, thanks for coming back. In this particular video, we're going to be focusing on the ground and then bringing those models into Unity. And at the end, we're going to have something like this scene here. If you've just joined this series and you've downloaded the Start Blender file from the description and you get welcomed by this pink material, all it's saying it doesn't know where your palette file is. So you need to go to Image, but before that, make sure you're in UV editing mode, and then go to Image, Replace, go to where the palette file you download it to, click on that, Replace Image, and your material should pop up as normal. What we're going to do next is hide these two objects by holding down the Shift key, click the rock, and click the tree, and then press the H key. I'm going to add in a cube by holding Shift A, Mesh, then Cube. Go into top view, pressing numpad number 7, and then we're going to scale this in the X and Y axes. So S to scale, Shift Z, and we're going to scale this out, holding down the Control key so we can do it incrementally until we're about 4 squares on either side of that green line. Left click to confirm. And then if we do a rotate, you can see that it's only scaled in the Y and Z axes. Then we're going to go into edit mode by pressing tab and pressing number 3 to select faces. I'm going to click on that top face and we're going to subdivide this. At the moment it's just one face. So I'm going to right click it and go subdivide. And as you can see, it's now subdivided that. I'm going to do that another 3 more times. Maybe 4 more. And there you go. So now what we're going to do is press 1 to go into vertices mode, and then I'm going to Alt select this line here, G and then Z, and bring it down a bit. Now you'll see that I'm in proportional mode, which is at the top here. So press O to get into that mode, and that will move all the vertices like we've done in the previous videos. And I'm going to reduce the actual circle down a bit. I'm going to do the same thing. Alt, left click, G, and reduce it down. Alt, left click, G, in the Z axis, reduce it down. Alt, left click, G, in the Z axis, and reduce it down. Gives that nice little fall off. And then I might adjust some of these. So click on this one here, G again, use the mouse wheel to increase the fall off, okay, and then move it up. Might want to just do that in the Z axis, so G, Z, and move it up. Do the same thing with this one over here, and just move your terrain how you like it. G, then Z, move up. Might increase the circle, might bring this one down, G, then Z, and just reduce that down a little bit. Okay, and there, it's not making it so flat. So what we're going to do now is add some extra triangles in this so it doesn't look so square. So I want you to hit the tab key to get into object mode, then select the object, go to add modifier and triangulate. If you press Shift and Z, you can see now the extra triangles in this. Okay, Shift Z again to go back into the shading. Then we're going to now color it. So while that's still selected, over here materials, make sure that you set it to material, and then go back into edit mode by pressing tab, press A to select everything. Over here, press A to select everything, make sure in UV editing, and then I want you to S for scale to 0, so press S, then 0, and left click. Then press G to set what color we want it, okay, and set it to a green or whatever color you'd like. Left click to confirm, press tab, and there we go. We've got our ground surface. And you can actually see the triangles in there. So it gives that very nice low poly feel. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So what we're going to do, guys, is start a bit of cleanup. We're going to rename our cube up here to ground. And then I'm going to press Alt and then H to unhide everything. I'm going to get my ground by clicking on it, and then G, then Z, and move it over here. Use my mouse wheel to have a good look at everything. So don't forget to save that, and I'll show you how to import this stuff into Unity. Now, one thing I do notice straight away is that my ground and my tree are the same color. So I'm going to go back to my tree, and I'm going to go into edit mode by pressing tab, making sure that I'm on faces, clicking on that, and I'm going to go and select all these top ones, so holding down the shift key as I'm selecting all this, and then Control plus to go downwards. One more to go. Okay, and then you can see it's selected here, so I'm going to press G and move that to a darker color. Press tab to go into object mode, and you can see it now. Beautiful. We are now ready to export these models. We're going to click on the tree, File, Export, FBX. Then I'm going to only export the models that have been selected, change the scaling to FBX unit scales, rename this to tree, and export it. I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. Select my rock, export, FBX, make sure that it's selected, the scale, and rename it to rock. And select my ground, export, FBX, yes, yes, and rename it to ground. Now let's go into Unity. With the Unity Hub open, start a new project. My project's going to be 19.3.14 F1, but you might be in the future and have a newer project. So I'm going to pick Universal Rendering Pipeline. I'm going to name mine Demo Real and create. Now with your project open, I want you to create a new scene. So I'm going to go into Scenes, right click, Create, New Scene. I'm going to name mine Demo Real, and I'm going to go into it by double clicking. Now under my Assets folder, I'm going to create a new folder called Models. This is where FBX models are going to go. And I'm going to go and grab those models, and I'm going to drag it into that folder. And there we go. I'm also going to grab the palette file, because that's the file that we've actually textured all our models with. So I'm going to right click Assets and create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this Artwork, or you can call it Textures, whatever you'd like. And I'm going to grab that file and put it in there. I'm going to double click on that folder. I'm also going to create a new folder called Materials, but actually there is one already there, and I'm going to create a new material. And I'm going to call this Common, because this is the common material that we'll use across all our objects in this scene. I'm going to grab that texture file that I've got in Artwork, and I'm going to put it in the base map. You'll see that it's blurry, so what you need to do is go back into that palette file in Artwork and do a few changes there. So we're going to set this one to, let's say, Sprite 2D, and then we're going to do the filter mode to point, and that will bring out the pixels, and then we're going to change the format to 32-bit. Hit apply, and if you go back to your material, you'll see that the pixels come out. Now what we're going to do now is click on bringing our ground into the hierarchy, and we're going to apply the material to the ground. Zoom in using your mouse wheel. I'm going to zero out this ground position. I'm going to bring in the tree. Zero out the position for that as well. Lift it up a bit. And I'm going to texture it. All we need to do is go to common, drag it onto the tree. And do the same thing for the rock. Drag in the rock, zero out the position it where you like, and come on and apply the material to it. Now that we've got our objects with the proper materials on it, we're going to make prefabs out of this so we can make copies. So in my assets folder, I'm going to create a new folder called prefabs. And I'm going to drag all these 3 objects into the prefabs folder. I can only do one at a time. Original. Okay, we're now ready to make copies of these. So now we're going to be ready for the next step, which is to do a bit of level design. Now what I'm going to do is just probably change some scalings a little bit for some of these objects. So I'm probably going to make this ground a little bit bigger. So at the moment it's set to 4:4 and the X, so I'm just going to change this now to, let's say, to about 6 and 6. And then I'm going to top view and bring the tree out to about there. Move the rock. Lift the tree up a bit. Now, if you don't know, I'm using the transform key up here to be able to move my items around, and using the gizmo here to, the axes to just have different views. I want to put my camera here because, as you can see, my camera is looking at the game view this way. So that's the game view. The camera is looking at this way. So I'm going to change it to look what I'm seeing right now. And to do this, you position your scene the way you want it. And then you click on the camera, game object, align with view. And then your camera changes. So now I'm going to position more trees around the scene. So I'm going to hold Control D, make a copy of a tree, and then move it. I'm going to scale it down a little bit. And I'm going to rotate mine a little bit to make a bit of variance in the scene and lower it down. Make a copy of that. Maybe rotate it the other way. Duplicate that. I'm going to rotate it around. I'm going to lower that down a bit and move it around. It's the same rock, just rotated in different ways to make it look like different rocks. After you're happy setting up your scene, just remember to save it. Well guys, I hope you got something out of this video. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe so you don't miss out on the next video, which is how to animate a character in Mixamo. Looking forward to seeing you then. So I hope you like this video. What I've shown you what to do is how to export the model from Blender, how to import it into actual Unity, how to reuse the same small tiny texture file that colors everything in this scene. So we're really saving on footprint there and memory space. And I've shown you a bit of level design, and probably the last thing that was probably a tip was how to move the camera to in a different view to suit the scene. Okay. So in the next video, we're going to work on bringing our character to life with animation.